Hi everyone, Emma here. So this is the tutorial for this lovely bracelet. Um, to make the full bracelet, I'm doing a 7.5-inch bracelet. So I'm using approximately 7 14mm Rivolis, but depending on your size and if you decide to put pearls and what size pearls you put, that can vary. So for this one, we're just going to talk about the 7.5-inch wrist. The other thing that will make a difference is your clasp, how big your clasp is. So be aware of that. So let's just go over. This is a box clasp that I'm going to be using. These are 14mm Swarovski. Let me get this in focus here. 14mm Swarovski Rivolis. I'm using 6mm Swarovski pearls. I think these are called powder. I want to say powder pink. I'll get the color for you if you're interested. I've been placing some orders with the bead company in Ontario for some more Swarovskis. So I've got like all the names of the color beads in my head. So anyway, they have some really stunning pink pearls. So then you're going to need some 11/0 size beads. I'm using the champagne galvanized, and you're going to need some 15/0 seed beads. These are again like a check bead, so they're very rounded and tiny. So we'll just set that over there for now. Get these guys up here. We'll just place that there for now as well. I'm using size 5 dragon thread. You can use whatever you like to use. And I've got a size 10 beading needle and some scissors. So you are going to start out, this is a modified right angle weave. So what we're going to be working on first is this. Let me enlarge this for you. Get some more light on this. So this here is the right angle weave. So the 4 beads here. And then you always have a bead in between each, right here, in between each of those components. You do have a shared bead with the next set as well. So that's that. Let's take a look. What we need is, I've done this a few times. If you're doing a different size Rivoli and you're not sure how many components of the right angle weave to do, what you should do is build up as many as you think you might need and then just wrap it around, and we'll do that as we get some going so you can see what I mean, and do that until you wrap it around, and I'll show you, particularly when we get the last one in, because you're going to do 14 components of this in one line, and then you're going to make the 15th component is going to be by adding beads in different spots, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. So let's start out, and let me move this up, maybe this down a bit so you can see my hands. So you're going to pick up 4 11/0s, and I've got a wingspan of thread. You don't need the whole wingspan. So take your first 4, bring them down. You're going to leave yourself some room at the end to weave back into your work and to hold on to. So let's grab those 4. So now we're going to go through the first one that we added, and we're going to go through the bottom, and that's it. So we'll just take that through like that. Let me get that in my hand. So this is the way you should work. So your thread should be going from the bottom to the other side of the bottom like that. So now we're going to pick up 4 11/0s again. This time we're going to go down through this side bead here. And I'm just going to hang on to them. Pull those down. You're going to pull your thread up, and you're going to pass it over the first bead there. and you're going to go through the second bead and then pull it tight. So let me just show you quickly where everything is. So your first component is these 4 here. Then we put 4 on the needle. So they are right here, those 4. So we took our needle, we went down through this middle bead, and then when we pulled it tight, it created this diamond. And that extra bead sits in between the 2 diamond shapes or crosses, however you want to call it. So you're going to pass over this bead with your thread, and you're going to go this way through this bottom one, bringing your thread over. So you just continue doing that the rest of the way for the full 14 times. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So we're going to pick up 4 like that. Come down this side bead, and I'll try and do this without putting my finger over the work so you can kind of see how it pulls like that, and then bring that thread over, go through the second bead like that, and pull your thread through tight, and now you have 3. So you can count the tops of those 3. There's 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let's just continue like that. I do have another video showing this, so if you want to take a look at that one too. So go down through that side bead, pull. This is so fast. You'll see once you get the knack of how to hold it in your hands and skipping that bead with your thread, going through the next bead like that, pull it tight. And sometimes what I do is I will put out 14 beads in a pile, and every time I go to make a round, I will take one of those beads. So that way I don't have to keep counting, but you can see how easy it is because these stick out. So you can count. We've got 4. We're going to do 5 now. Pass it over the first bead, through the second bead. There. And just keep going. There's 4. Go down through the middle, the side bead. Pass your thread over the first bead and go through the second bead. Like that. Pick up 4. Like that. Down the side. Pass over the first bead while you're pulling it, and you can hang on to that if you have the dexterity, but it's not a big deal if you don't. Go through the next bead. So you can see it's loosening a bit, not a big deal, because when we pull this through, it will tighten everything like that. So you can see how fast this would be compared to... It's hard to say. If you do peyote a lot and you bezel with peyote, it's you get really fast at it too. I just found that sometimes there was more chance of making errors with peyote, and if you make an error, it will affect the rest of the design. So it's frustrating, especially if you're, learning. And these beads are super tiny too, so sometimes it's just the fact that they're so small to see them properly and to get the needle through. And sometimes I don't even put the thread over. You can just go to the second bead like that. And watch what happens. Besides that, that's not what I... Don't watch that part. Like that. So it goes automatically into the position. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this will be the 10th. 4. Down the side. Go through the second one like that. And look at that. Okay. 4 more. So pick up 4 beads. These are 11 O's. There. We should have 3 more to do. Pick up 4, 11 O's. Go through the side bead. Oh, and just grabbing threads everywhere. There. Pull so they're all lined up. Pick up 4. Go through the side bead from the top down. Skip the next bead and go through the second bead that we just added. Pull through. I think we need 4 more. Let's count just to be sure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I'm glad we checked. It's only 1 now. 1 left to go. So there's 4 beads down the side. Put your thread over. Go through the second bead. Like that. So let's take a look. If you're, like I said, if you're using a different size Rivoli, this is how you're going to get a sense of how many components you want to add. I might have a different size so I can show you. So just kind of go like this and wrap it around gently. So as you can see, oh, let's put this there. It is a bit fiddly, but so you can trial and error and you can decide if you need more or less. So we're going to add the final one. Now part of this too is you got to remember that when you add the final one, it's going to cinch it, but you also want to, we're going to put 2 rows of 15 O's underneath and 2 rows of 15 O on top. So here, where's my pointer here? So there's 1 row here of 15 O's, and there's the second row. So the majority of your work is on the back side of the Rivoli. You're only going to get these little crosses coming off to the side, and then we're going to add some 15 O's to make a decorative front. So let's do that. And let me just show you with a different size bead. So that's the other thing I love about this right angle weave is it makes it really simple. You can do this type of bead without creating corners like you would with peyote. And here's an oval you could do with the same right angle weave design. So again, you would just take your bead and put it like that. So you can see this is way too many, probably 3 extra for this size bead, maybe even 4. And then for something like this, I've done these before. I have one I can show you of that one. But let's take a look. So this is how you check how many components to add which is lovely. So that's, I would probably do 1 or 2 less for this design of crystal as well. Let me show you. I have one of these finished. So that's for another video, but so this is using that right angle weave design as well. Now I added some 50 nose on the edge to make it a little more poofy. So there. So that's for another video. Okay, so let's continue with this. Now you're probably wondering, well, how do I finish it? We are going to do is there's our thread that we're ending with. This is the thread that we started with. So what I want you to do is fold it over like this so you can get a look at both ends. It's probably the easiest way to do it. So now remember, this one is our thread that we're going to sew in. What we want to do is we want to create an element that's going to go through this bead and through this bead. So we're going to start by adding 2 beads, 2 11-0s. We're going to pick up this side, and that's the reason I folded it this way. You want to make sure you have it so it's a continuous circle. If I had this folded the other way, it would twist it. So go up with those 2 like this, and that's going to pull the other side together like that. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like. Don't worry, this one here we will pull tight to get it cinched properly. It doesn't look like much right now. So now if you remember, we have one side bead here. This is the side bead from the beginning. This is the side bead from the last one we did. So what we need here is a pointy bead, like the top bead. So that's, pick up 1. We're going to go down this side bead. Let's see if we can pull it together so you can see. Sometimes I take my baby finger to hold it so you can see what we're doing here. Okay, like that. So don't worry about this one, it keeps loosening. If you want, you can use a stop bead there, but I don't bother with it. So if you remember, now that we have our beads on there, what we did was we always skipped that first bead, which is right here, because this is the side bead from the one we finished. We came down through there, our thread's coming out of there. So we're going to take our thread and we're going to skip that first bead, and we're going to go through this one. But if you remember, now we have a component here and a component there. We don't have a middle bead. So we're going to add a middle bead there too. So let me just pull this through like that. And we're going to add, and I can pull this, it will bring it closer so you can see the element, and you can tell there's a bead missing there. So this is probably the most complex part, but if you look at the components that we built, it will help you to see that. So now we can go through as many beads as we want here, because we're going to do the bottom part of the Rivoli. So I'm going to go through here maybe a little bit, and I'm going to end on one of these sticking out beads. Now I'll tell you, the sticking out beads are not readily apparent, but if you look closely you can see them. So let's take a look. So I'm coming out of here. You can see this is part of that cross or diamond pattern. So it's lower than the next one was the one we skipped. It's higher. So that's going to be our peyote stitch. So let's get our 50 nose out. So we don't need these anymore at all. Let's get our 50 nose. This bead doesn't look right. be enough. Okay, again, we'll pick this up with our baby finger and get that thread out of the way. So now we're just going to put a 15-0 in between all of these sticking out beads. So we're coming out of here, we're going to skip that one, we're going to go through here like that. And you can pull it tight because that will pull everything else, and at that time I usually make sure that tail thread is pulled nicely. Okay, pick up a 15, move that out of the way. So we're coming out of this bead here, we're going to skip this one and we're going to go through the next one like that. I'm just turning it on my hand here. I'm going to enlarge to see if you can see a little better. Get this thread out of the way. Okay, pick up a 15. Coming out of this one, we're going to skip that one and we're going to go through this one. Pick up a 15 and you're going to do that all the way around. Coming out of this one, skip that one, go through the next one. Pick up a 15. Coming out of this one, we're going to skip that one and go through the next one. Pick up a 15, skip that one and go through the next one, like that. And just keep going. Oops. Flinging beads. It wouldn't be beading 101 if you weren't flinging beads. And pick up another. And keep going. It's going to start getting a little tighter because we are pulling. You're not pulling like really, really hard, just like a snug little tug. And that'll bring those beads together so that there's a nice little bowl for the Rivoli to sit in. Talking about Rivolis makes me think of, there was a game we used to play with cards and little dishes with pennies in it, and I think it was called Rivoli, but in French they call it Pipito, which sounds so funny. Pipito, that's like a dog's name. Hello Pipito, viens ici mon petit chien. Oh boy. So it happens when you grow up French. Everybody's dog was named Pitou. Pitou is like puppy. Come here, puppy. Come here, puppy. Do you know what's funny? Our cat's name is Jax, and I realize I rarely call him Jax. I call him, here, kitty, here, baby. I said to Jen, he totally knows his name's Kitty. Like, you call him Jax, just like looks at you funny. Okay, so this one looks a bit weird. It's hard to tell, but we are coming out of a sticking out one here. You can see the thread. So this is the low one. This is the high one. So we're going to go through that one, but we're going to step up. We're at a 15-0 here. So we're actually going to go through this one and this one. So I've got a bead on there. So let's get our needle in position. So like that. Because we're going to add one more round. And you know what? You can actually continue like this all the way around till you finish. and totally cover the back if you want. I've done that on other designs. So now we're going to do our second row of 15s. And actually, before I do that, let me take a look and see how this fits. So you can see it's a bit snug, but what will happen when I get it all in there is these outer ones are going to push out a bit to fit like that. So, but we'll just leave that out for now. It's a little easier to hang on to this way. Let me get that thread out of the way. So row number 2 of the 15s. Now all the 15s are the sticking out beads, and it's super hard to see. I apologize. Like that, with my 15 on there. Pick up a 15, go through the next 15. Pick up a 15, go through the next 15. Pick up a 15, go through the next 15. Pick up a 15, go through the next. So this is a bracelet that I'm making for Kath from England. She sent me a bunch of really extraordinary things. There's no way I could thank her enough for what she sent me. So I really wanted to do something special. So I came up with the idea of making something for her grandson's wedding that she's going to. But of course, she only has 2 arms, as she told me. This was just an excuse. You guys gotta know, with as many videos as I have, I'm just looking for excuses to make stuff. So I know she'll be happy. But you know what? I find I do much better if I have something that it's a gift for somebody. I'm so inspired to do things. Sometimes just beading for the sake of beading is not enough for me. Now, my wife would probably laugh at that. She's like, yeah, whatever. You don't need an excuse to bead, Emma. So I'm just keeping track of where the step up. I think it's right here. I was thinking it would be by the thread, but as you know, we went further than the thread to begin with. I went like 4 beads past it. And when you're doing your step ups with peyote, it always moves one over. So just remember that. I'll go through here. I think the next one is the step up. Oops, I just poked all the beads. So this is the last one. We're going to go through. So here our thread is coming out of this bead here. We're going to skip this one. We're going to go through that one. I am going to go through this, but then I'm going to go and I'm going to bring my thread over to the other side. So that's coming out of here, skip this one, go through this one. There's like a funny shaped bead that's hard to get my needle through. Sometimes they're on an angle, the beads, they're not uniform. Okay, so let me bring that around. So I'm just double checking. Okay, so my thread is coming out of this one. So I do have my 2 here, my 2 there, so I don't have to worry about that. So I'm actually, oops, gonna take my thread, and at this point you can pull it a bit to make sure. And what that does, when you pull it a bit, it opens up the other ones. So it's a good idea to do that so that you can get your Rivoli in. So let's now bring our thread forward. So I'm coming out of this bead here. I'm just going to go through these guys. Like that, those 4 there. And that looks out of focus here. There we go. That. Okay, now I'm going to flip it, and I am going to double check my Rivoli in there. So just kind of getting it into a circle there. And there, perfect. Okay, and you can see it's a bit poofy, but we'll fix that at the end. Okay, so let's make sure that's a little tighter. There. Okay. Move that thread out of the way. Okay, so we're coming out of this one here. So these are all like top beads, like when we were counting. So what we're going to do is we're going to add 5 50-0s every alternate one. So we're coming out of this one. We're going to add 5 50-0s. We're going to skip the next one. We're going to go through this one. So I'll just go ahead and do it so you can see. So there is 5. Coming out of that one, you're going to skip that one. You're going to go through this one. Like that. I'm going to bring this down. Every time you enlarge the screen, the bottom comes closer to your hands, so then it's easy to get out of the screen, and that's not much fun. Okay, so pick up 5. So there's 5. We are coming out of this bead here. We're going to skip that one. We're going to go through the next one. And I always push them forward because eventually they will curl inward. When we tighten it, we can put the beads in after. We don't have to. You can complete this round without the Rivoli in there. I mean, so let's go 5 50-0s. We're coming out of this one. We're going to skip that one. We're going to go through this one here. And push forward. Okay, pick up 5. There's 5. Coming out of this one, you're going to skip that one, and you're going to go through the next one. There. So, coming out of that one, we're going to skip the next one, pick up 5. There's 4, and there's 5. We are going to go through, let me see if I can do it this way so you can see what I'm doing here. Go through this one. Okay, so this is loose right here. You see how it's loose? That's our beginning one. So you can like go through and put a knot in this one and tie it so that that doesn't happen, but because I do these all the time, I kind of know I only do it at the end. So, but for you, you might be wondering, why is my work loosening up here? So let's do 5. That. Coming out of here, skipping this one, going through this one. And you can really see your little diamond patterns too. that. Okay. Pick up 5. There's 5. Coming out of this one, skip that one, go through this one. That. Okay, so now we're at the end. Now, if you're using a different count, say you had a different size Rivoli, you would use a different count. Maybe you added one more of these, then you would have one more section to add 5 to. But because we're at the end here, there's not enough to skip one. We're going to ignore that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the top of the first one where we started, like that. And we're going to go through 3 beads. Let me see if that's, no, we're going to go through 4 beads of the 15 O's. And I'll explain on the next one why we're doing that. So you can see it's going to close that up. You're not even going to see that. So, okay. So basically what we want to do with these peaks of 5 is we want to grab the side beads. So the second bead, I mean a bead on each side, and we're going to put a bead in there. So let's just show you on the next one. So I'm in the position, there's one 15-0 left here, then our 11-0. So we want to put a bead in there, and that's what that's going to do, is it's going to cinch it together. So we want to skip the one 15-0, the one 11-0, the next 15-0. Then we're going to take 3 beads and go through it. And that will put us into position for the next one. And at this point, we should put our Rivoli in there because it will start to close it up. So let's get that in there. Like that. So now you can hang on to this and you can kind of massage the beads a bit into the position. And you can pull a little bit like that. Okay. So let's do the next one. So here we are. We have one 15-0 here, one 11-0, and one 15-0. We're going to go through the next 3 15-0s, but we're going to add a bead in between. So go one pass the 11-0, pick up 3 beads. Okay, pick up one 15-0. Take a look at what you have. You have another 15-0, an 11-0, a 15-0. We're going to skip that first 15-0 and go through 3 11-0s. And you can see it's starting to pull them in, so that'll hold everything in. Pick up a 15-0. There's one 15-0, an 11-0, another 15-0. So we're going to skip that 15-0 and we're going to go through the middle 3 of the 5 that we added. Let me get a better grip on this. So I'm skipping the first one. It's a little easier to go through than what it looks like right now because I'm trying to keep the same position for you to see what's going on and not do that kind of thing. Okay, through. Pick up a 15-0. So there's one 15-0, one 11-0, one 15-0. We're going to go through the 3 15-0s like that. And pull that. that. And again, that's loosening because this piece here. So you see how that's, you can see the thread. Let's pull that in, keep that snug. Okay, pick up an 11 or 15-0. You have 1 15-0, 1 11-0, 1 15-0. I'm going to skip that 15-0, and you can use your nail to move the beads around. Pick up 3 15-0s and pull it. Take another 15-0 like that. So you have a 15-0, 11-0, and there's that second 11-0, just ignore that. And then go through skip the first 15-0 and go through the 3 11-0s like that. Okay. So you will have this little edge here might look a bit funky, but you know what? Once you kind of massage the beads around, you won't notice it as much. You can put a second 15-0 in there, but I think for the most part, you know, it's not a big deal. Do whatever you think you prefer in that situation. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through everything again one more time, just the way we did, and that just secures it. So we're coming out of the 3 15-0s. We're going to go through the single 15-0, and we're going to go through the next 15-0s, through the next 15 in the middle, through the next 15-0s. You can do a bunch at once. It's very quick, but that will make it snug, so it's worth going through the second time. Let's go through the middle 15-0 and the 3 15-0s there, and I'm just turning as I go through the middle 15-0 and through the 3 15-0s like that. Then we coming out, okay, go through the single 15-0 here. Go through the 3 15-0s. And you can see how it's pulling it together nicely. Go through the single 15-0, through the 3 15-0s, and I went through the last 15-0, and I'm going to bring it in to this one here, these 3 here, and that will close up that little gap as well. So there you go. And you can kind of maneuver it around. So there's the front, there's the back. So no worries. So let's go ahead and bring this. We're going to bring this line to the side in here. We're going to create a knot, and just so that it doesn't get loose. So the next bead that's next to where I'm coming out of, which is the set of 3 15-0s, is this little side 15-0 and then the 11-0. I'm going to take that and just pull it a bit and make sure it's all in a circle the way I like it. Okay, so now I'm just going to flip this over like this, because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this bead and down through these guys. So let's go through this 11-0. I'm going to put a knot in here. And the reason I'm putting a knot is I'm going to use this thread to attach my pearls. So I don't want my pearls to be pulling on my beadwork. And if I put a knot, then it secures them from moving. So Wrap around twice. I've picked up a thread bridge there, and now the best thing to do is to put your finger on that so that the loop doesn't get big and jump over a bead, and then you've got a thread going across a bead. So I'm just going to go through 2 of these 11/0s like that, and then I'm going to go, I just turned it, and I'm going to go through this one here, and we have that ready to attach our pearls on the other side. So let me get my thread off this one. I'm going to sew this one in. So let's get that. I'm going to make sure this one's nice and tight. That was our starting thread. So just grab a hold, and you can see it's loose there. See those threads? And all you have to do, just pull it in the direction the thread is going, and you can see it pulled those in nicely. So there you go. Okay, so we are coming out of this one here. So let's go up through this 15/0 and through the 2 11/0s on an angle like that. And then we're going to put a knot in there. Let me get that out of the way. Okay, so the thread's coming out of this one here. I'm going to go ahead and pick up a thread bridge right here like that. Wrap it around twice. Put my thumb over it. Pull tight in the direction the thread's going. Then go through a few beads. I'm going to go around this diamond pattern. So go through these, and I'm going to flip this. You can add a second knot if you want. I really don't think it needs it. So I'm going to go through. So I'm coming out of this one. I'm going to go through this side one, but I'm going to go on an angle out through the 11/0, and we'll go through the 15s and cut it off. So the 15s, so it's coming out of this 11/0. We're going to go through these 2 15s here, like that. Like that. And that's it. Take your needle off, cut this thread. So there is this lovely component. That's how easy it is to do this design. Now I'm doing a bunch of bracelets, so I'll be doing some different designs as well that are pretty amazing. It's really simple to change the design. You can put lovely circles in the middle, you can put star shapes, all kinds of stuff. So we don't need these beads anymore. Let me just move them out of the way for now. So let's get our ruler out so we can see the length of this. So right now we have, let's bring this out. Right now we have from this side to here, that's 6 inches. That's 2, 4, 6 components. So about an inch per component if you count your beads, your pearls, 6mm pearls. So let's take out 2. We definitely want 2 pearls to go there, just to continue with the pattern. Oh look, powder rose. I think, you know, what happened was I ordered 2 more orders of Swarovski pearls, and I wasn't sure what I had and what I didn't have, so I sorted through all mine, and I went through my old invoices and put the names and matched them up with like 4mm and 8mm and stuff. So yeah, Look at that, 7. Okay, we're 1 off. How did that work out? I think I thought if I put a set of pearls on this side and a set of pearls on the other side of the clasp, it would give me 7.5. So let's take a look with 4 more pearls. Yes, I think that will do it. So it's hard to see there. Let me see if I can change the light. There we go. So there's your 7.5 mark. So it's just in there. Once you get your beads on and stuff, and I think the clasp, the little foot of the clasp will make a difference too. It comes to 7.5. So this would be like that. Let me see here. So this is going to go like this. And these pearls are going to go on here. Oh, sorry, they're not going to. They're going to go here where that's why I left this undone. So let's pull that out. There. Like that. There. Perfect. 7.5. So that's what we're going to do. Scooby-Doo. Okay. So let's get our needle on the thread. So what I do when I do one of these components is I will take the end and I will sew it in. Then I take the other end and leave it so that I use this to attach to the bracelet. So, I mean, the first one you're attaching on both ends, but you get the idea. Now you can take a separate thread, and something that Stephanie from Brown's Pony mentioned was she will use the thinner thread, like a number 5 dragon thread, this stuff here, for working it, and then she'll take a 6-pound, let me grab it, a 6-pound fire line, which is a lot thicker, sturdier. Now, the reason I stopped using Fireline is one of these cost me $40 Canadian plus 15% tax. So it was like I was like spending $100 every couple of months at the bait and tackle shop. So yeah, you can see how thick it is. It's holding its shape, right, compared to this, and they're supposed to be equivalent. Now, trying to get this through all your beads was really difficult. But anyway, something interesting she said was attaching your bracelets with Fireline. And I think that's an excellent idea. So we start out with this one here. Take a look at where your thread is. Let's enlarge this and see if we can get you some more light there. Okie dokie. So I do have a knot in there. It's not going to matter. Sometimes when I put my stuff down and I go to pick it up, if it's twisted and you don't notice it, I tried to get it out, couldn't, not a big deal. It will go through everything. So, okay, so we are, let's see. Okay, we're coming out of this bottom one. I want to line up my beads. So if you take your needle and go across, so that means I need to be, and that may be why I put it through that one. Let me double check here. So let's go up. If you look, there's an open hole here, go across, an open hole here. So I want my thread to come out of there, like that. Yeah, that should work. Like that. Okay, so now pick up your bead like that, put it on there, and put this one over here. So grab this one, because we're going to use this thread. We want to make sure the thread's on that side. So let's just line these up. Let's do it through this hole here. So I'm going to come through the bottom of that hole, that bead, like this. Then I'm going to go through the bead. And you can leave this loose because it'll tighten even if you go through it a couple of times. So this one's coming out of the top. I'm going to go through the bottom of that bead. Like that. And just hang on to the one you're adding if you find the thread's not coming through all the way. Okay, and you're just going to do that a couple of times. So let's go back through the pearl, and you can get your needle to go through the bead as well. Like that. Then go through the pearl. And I'll go through the top here on this one. So now hold on to the one you're adding and pull, and that will bring everything tight. So now let's bring our thread over to the next hole to add our next pearl. So we are coming out of the front of, we're coming out of the pearl. I'll go through this bead here, like that. Then go through the next bead on this little cross or diamond pattern. I'm going to go through it all the way around. This way, again, the pearl is not pulling on your beadwork. So go through this one like that. And you can see it keeps pulling that up. Then go back. And again. And this is kind of like doing a knot as well. So now we have one there. So we can either add our pearl here, or we could go through this bead and add the pearl. You kind of have to decide how you want your pearl. So if you take a look here, these two are touching, but these aren't. So it just depends on the spacing of things. I kind of prefer to have them touching, but I mean, both ways look really nice. Okay, so let's see. So wait, we do have to go through this top one here and add. So add our pearl like that. Let's go through this one here on the other side. So again, a lot of this is preference. You can, like, some people are very particular, and usually I am, and I prefer to go through the exact bead on the other side. And actually I think I will on this one because it looks a bit, so there you see now you have spacing. So let's go back out and go through the exact bead from the other one, which would be the top bead here. Go through there, just bring my thread over here so it doesn't get tangled, like that. There, now they're touching. They are almost touching too much, I think. So what we'll do is we will go through this bead when we come out on the other side. So let's go through the pearl and go down through this side bead. Like that, that's better. So you see it's created a bit of space. So now I'm going to go back through the pearl. Like that. And I'm going to go through the top bead here. There. So that's how easy it is. Now you want to either continue on with your thread and use it on the other side, or you want to make sure, I'm going to go in a circle here and then create a knot so that it keeps the structure of the beadwork in place and not pulling on it. So let me just flip this, go through here, like that, and go down this one, there. So that's good. Let's tie this one off because we have a thread on the other side. So you can see there's lots of thread using a wingspan. I do find sometimes when I use a little less than a wingspan that things start to get a little sticky where there's not enough thread on the end to do knots and stuff. So I don't bother. It's like, it's frustrating because this thread is expensive, but and I used to save my thread and reuse the little pieces and stuff, but it's such a pain in the butt, especially if you have animals. So with the cat, he started being interested in the nylon thread for some weird reason. So I'm just going to tie this off, or it's already tied off, and I'm just cutting this. So this is what we have so far. Stick to there. That is lovely. Okay, I'm gonna put it on my wrist so you can see how amazing is that. And you can see there's space there. I'm just hesitating because I'm thinking this doesn't seem like it's big enough. So I feel like I need to do one more component and then add the clasp. So I will come back to add the clasp. I'll tell you why. Sometimes, like if you measure things flat, so there's the 6. So that would be my wrist size, the 6. Now we did say that this should be 1.5 inches. So let's double check this. Let's go to the inch mark there. So probably more like this because the foot's going to be there. And then just 2 beads should take us. So 7.5 flat. Let's take the mandrel. When you have a thickness of beads and then you turn it, your inside circle gets smaller. So I could do a measurement of 7.5 on the flat ruler, and then when I get it on somebody's wrist, it doesn't fit. And I'm getting a little nervous about that because if I look, that is not even, so that's about 1 inch off on my wrist if I were to go for a 6 inch. So yeah, I definitely need another component. But let me show you on the mandrel what I mean. So there's our 7.5 mark. Let's pull it around the bottom so you can see. And look at how far off it is. So there's more than 1.5 inches there. So we'll leave it at that. That's an hour, and I will do the other component, and I'll show you how to add the clasp. So we'll have this done not too soon. I'm glad we caught that. I have to look at the other bracelets I made now. Take care, everybody. Thanks for joining me. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye.